Okay, let's face it, making decisions about our health, especially as we hit middle age or midlife, can feel really overwhelming and confusing. Like at no other time in our life, usually have we had to face this many decisions with so many contradictory information, especially with a decision like whether to go on HRT or not, hormone replacement therapy. There's so much conflicting information. Some of it's helpful, some of it's confusing, and it's really easy to get stuck. But what if the most important voice on this wasn't out there somewhere, but it was actually in here? Today, I want to talk about using your intuition to guide you on important health decisions, no matter what that decision may be, whether it's going on HRT or whether to get a mammogram or some other decision that you may be faced with at this time in your life. I'm Dr. Nancy Shah. I'm a psychologist in private practice, but here in my YouTube space, I create videos like this for women like you to help you actually take the struggles that you're facing in midlife and use them as a catalyst for change to help you up level and prepare you and set you up for living the most vibrant, alive, harmonious, and peaceful life well into your 80s, 90s, and beyond. So if that sounds interesting to you, please hit subscribe, and I'd love to have you as part of this ever-growing community. So, why your intuition matters in health decisions. Let's face it, I have been there in the past where I have been overwhelmed with a health decision and I kept going back and forth. And what I tend to do is go down the rabbit hole of research on the Google, which can be super helpful. I am not saying you should not do research, but sometimes we can go into a downward spiral, actually learning too much information, some of which doesn't even apply to us, that can cause us even more stress and actually cause us to be even more confused about the decision that we want to make. The more we research and the more amped and stressed out we get, the more our kind of wise mind goes offline. This is my brain model, and I'm automatically flipping my lid. When we are in our emotional brain, or our amygdala, which lives in the center of our brain, our rational mind and our wise mind kind of go offline. And this is not helpful. So we need to bring it back online by connecting to our stillness, our calmness, and the peace within that helps us make a decision from our inner wise woman. And that's what I'm going to help you do today. So I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I'm not saying don't do your research. Just combine that with some of the tools we're going to use today so that you come up with the best decision possible instead of, blindly following the research or getting overwhelmed or getting stuck and paralyzed so you don't make any decision and you don't move forward on anything, which is probably one of the worst things you can do. So one of the best ways to hear your inner wisdom is through stillness and meditation. And so here's a really simple meditation that can bring your system back online. First of all, just allow your eyes to close. This is going to be super short. If this resonates with you, though, I do have a meditation club where we meditate several times a month together. And it helps you to learn how to tap into this source of inner wisdom on a more consistent and regular basis so that you get better at it. But for now, just let your eyes close and just take 3 deep breaths. If you want, you can go in through your nose and sigh it out through your mouth. Do that 2 more times. In through your nose. Sigh it out. 1 more time. In through your nose. And just sigh it out. Let it go. Release it. And now ask yourself, what would it be like to say yes to this decision? Just imagine yourself in as much detail as possible saying yes to whatever decision you are in a position where you have to make right now. Just tune into your body and notice any sensations or emotions that come up. Maybe even notice images or colors or words that drop into your awareness. Just breathe into that. Make a mental note of anything that came up for you. And then just imagine yourself saying no to this decision. What would it feel like to say no? And just breathe and notice sensations, images, thoughts. Emotions. Make a mental note of that. And journaling can also be a very powerful tool. You might use prompts like this. Journaling after a meditation is particularly useful. You might use prompts like, what am I most afraid of in making this decision? And then just write off the top of your head without censoring. And then perhaps, what's one step I can take to feel more confident? And you might even tune into your heart center, maybe placing your hand on your heart. And ask yourself, what is it that my heart would like me to know as I consider this choice? Another really fun tool to use as you're learning how to tap into your intuition, that sometimes can make your intuition even more accessible, is something called muscle testing. And there's 100 ways to do muscle testing. You may have seen people touching their thumb and their fourth finger together and then making their fingers into like this kind of shape and testing. And if it's a yes, the circle will stay together. And if it's a no, then the circle will break apart. And that's one way of tuning in using muscle testing. My favorite way is using a pendulum. Now, it may seem like this is magic. My magic pendulum is going to tell me the answers, but it's really not about the pendulum at all. It's about my energy as I ask the question. And so everyone's response to the pendulum is different, but what you'll do is just ask a simple yes or no question, or even just say the word yes. You can see what my pendulum does when it's saying yes. There's a nice big circle, and I'm not doing that. I'm just holding it still. And you'll get a feel for this. Like it takes practice. And now I'm going to think something that is a no. Is my name Noelle? No, it is not. You see how it's going back and forth in a straight line. Then I'll say, is my name Nancy? And then it will start to move in a circle again, which seems, very magical or whatever you want to say. Or you can even say that I'm doing it myself. But what I tend to do, and I could be, this is a video, but when I'm actually using the tool, I will close my eyes and wait until I feel movement in my finger. And then I will look down and look at it and notice, is it going in a circle or is it going straight? For some people, their yes is clockwise and their no is counterclockwise. There's all kinds of different shapes that the pendulum can make in response to your yes or no. So that's something, it's just something fun to play with, and another way of tapping into your intuition. So let's spend a few minutes talking about the blocks to intuition, which I kind of touched on before. As we get into a state of fear and overwhelm, our wise mind goes offline, right? And we can't connect with our inner wisdom. We really need to be calm and centered in order to even be able to access that voice. So, if this happens where you're going into a fear spiral or a catastrophizing spiral, which I know can really happen, especially if the health decision you're trying to make has to do with, a treatment for a disease that you've just been diagnosed with or something scary like that, it's best to pause and take some deep breaths and really come from a place of, okay, now, this is very scary, what could happen, but what's happening in this moment right now? What am I experiencing right now in this moment? And usually, when we bring it back to what is actually happening without fears of the future or what could happen, it helps us to tune into our center more readily because we are fully embodied in this moment and we can reconnect with our calm. You may even try breathing and saying words such as, I trust myself. I trust this process. I trust that this is happening for me, not to me, or something like that, that helps shift your perspective. This is really about learning to trust yourself and playing with your intuition, and starting to use your intuition is a slow and gradual process. It's not something that you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm bringing my intuition online and now I'm just going to use that for all my learning to trust your intuition is like learning any skill. It's about listening and experimenting and really learning as you go what works for you. It's taken me years to develop my pendulum skills. And, for other people, it might be different forms of muscle testing besides the pendulum. But really, what's most important is not like what method you use, it's more about what helps you to connect with what is true for you right now. And for you, that might be simply breathing, or it could be talking to someone you trust, or it could be going for a walk in nature, or just saying or spending a few minutes journaling. Whatever it is, learning what works for you is one of the best practices that you could have as you move forward into this thing we call life and the second half of it. So remember, you are your own best guide. No one else can decide for you what is best for you. And that's a beautiful thing. Trust your doctor, but also trust your inner wisdom. It knows more than you think, and you know more than you think. Let me know in the comments what's one way that you use to tune into your intuition. Maybe we can share some ideas here and get some more tools for self-discovery and healing. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.